What is up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Uberkooledgarage. On this week's episode, we are going to be getting the bug ready for Buggerama. A ton of progress went on the car. I didn't film quite as much as I probably should have, but it was all kind of stuff that you guys have already seen me do in the past. And it was basically just me rushing as fast as I could to get all the parts and pieces done that I physically could. Couple very, very long, quite a few amount of hours put into it prior. So this video has been going on for 2.5 weeks, and then I got sick and kind of continued to push to get the car done. But we'll see where we get at the end of the video. As you can also see, Ryan's car is in the garage. I'm going to be rearranging some stuff, getting the garage cleaned out a little bit more so that I can work on both the cars at night. I don't have to just work on Ryan's car in this 100+ degree weather in Sacramento. But now I'll be able to work on both of them. Just gotta clean up a couple things in the garage so then I can get around both of them. But let's go ahead and hop into this video. If you guys are new from Buggerama, thank you for joining. I had signs in the car showing Instagram, YouTube, stuff like that. So let's hop into the video. If you guys like the video, go ahead and subscribe. Share the video if you could. That would be extremely helpful. We're going to start getting into some really, really cool projects here pretty quick. Not to mention this video is definitely going to be awesome. And then we'll see you guys at the end of the video. Hope you guys enjoy. Well, the garage is a disaster. As you can see, the entire front end is all apart, minus the steering rack. So I have been welding like crazy, trying to get all of this stuff situated. I still have quite a bit of stuff to clean up. I'm trying to get all of the front end stuff painted. So I've just been welding away. I have a ton of cleanup stuff to do. So a lot of the welds I don't like, so I'm going to grind them out and then re-weld. But I got my shock tower up top, added a gusset to the steering rack, and then you can see this mark here. Got to notch that out further. And then I have also been painting a bunch of stuff. So driver's side spindle is completely done. I'm going to clean up the welds on the passenger side one, get that one painted as well. The passenger side suspension, the upper A-arm, and the strut brace, all of that stuff is primered. I am waiting for my paint to get here. I think you guys will really like the paint color I chose for suspension. And then it'll probably also paint quite a few bits and pieces in the entire car the same color. So I have to finish welding on the lower shock mount tab onto this, and then this bottom spindles, or the bottom A-arm's completely done. I can get that primed and ready for paint. I need to do the same thing on this side. Weld that. Basically all of this stuff can get primed. Now, I'm not 100% sure if I want to keep. I'm probably not. If you guys ever met me, you know that I hate chrome. It is tacky, it's gross. So I'm probably going to paint my steering arms. And then the coilovers are fine. I'm going to leave those the way they are. I really like the way that they look when they're in there. But I'm going to get all that stuff painted. I need to paint the rotors. So, like I did on the rear, I'm going to paint. This one needs to be touched up. But paint the actual hat around, and then the outside lip. That way it doesn't rust. Same thing with the inside. This red is hideous, so I'm going to sand all that stuff off. I went and picked up a different can of red, so hopefully that turns out good. Another thing that I have been doing is I have been working on all of the brake lines. So you can see here, I basically have everything fitted up. So the clutch line runs back. I ended up changing up a couple things. I originally was going to put the brake light switch up here. I also have a brake light switch on the clutch. There's a couple things that I can do with the computer that uses the clutch line or the clutch in the computer. So I put a brake line switch in there that will trigger stuff in the ECU. But brake lines turned out pretty good. I still have to terminate each of the fronts, and I need to finish off the rears, but this is basically it. So the brake line switches, I was gonna mount up here. There's really no room and no way to make it look good, so I actually moved them into the center tunnel, which will clean things up a lot. They're the only wires that are gonna be in this area here are the fan, the fuel pump, and the fuel pump sender. Everything else goes inside the car. Eventually I'm going to put it on water methanol, so there will be a water methanol tank somewhere in this location here with a pump underneath, just to help out with fueling and stuff like that. I'm still not 100% sure on if I'm going to put it on E85 or not, but we'll get to that when we get to it. So I have this bar here is almost ready. I just have to put my notch here in the back. That'll get welded in. And then radiator mounts I have to cut off, raise up, and bring forward. That's why that's marked out. The radiator sits really low on these mounts here, so raise it up, move it forward, and then tilt the fan back a little bit more. But the front suspension, the whole front of the car is almost ready to get primed. So I'm gonna finish off this little bit of stuff here, and then we will get this thing in primer and then put it all back together. I am painting some parts. I have my flashlight on so you can see how shimmery it is. So all of these parts turning out super, super nice. So this is just the base coat. So you can imagine something is going to go over top of this and really make this pop. So, and I also have clear coat as well. All of that stuff will go on, and then go ahead and get this stuff installed permanently on the car. Okay, here it is after clear coat. So the paint turned out absolutely fantastic. Really, really, really love the color. The whole control arm, super, super pretty, really glimmery. So I'm gonna let these dry overnight, and then I'll clean up the rod ends and stuff like that. Get them all nice and clean and put all this stuff back together, and we'll see how it looks. The finished passenger side upper control arm, A-arm. The paint turned out fantastic. With all the heavy glitter in the base coat, the candy ruby red turned out fantastic. So clear coat went on nice and smooth. I was going to paint the lower passenger side A-arm as well, but I remembered that I have to add in a sway bar bracket. So I'm going to weld on the sway bar bracket and then paint the rest of the front suspension. Get all of that done. This is exactly the color that I have been looking for years. Basically one of my favorite colors ever. So very, very excited how this turned out. It's almost too pretty to put on the car. But I'm going to finish off welding up the front of the tube chassis, get all the brackets in, all of that stuff, and then I'm going to primer the actual roll cage itself and start putting the car back together, get it ready for the show. I'm going to leave it primered for now. Want to make sure that everything kind of works the way that I think it's going to work. The A-arms and stuff I know for a fact are where they are. They're not going to change at all, but the actual mounting locations of stuff might. So I'm just going to leave the chassis in primer, at least until I can drive it around a time or two, just to make sure that everything's good. And then we'll blow apart the entire car again and fully paint the chassis and the body and all of that. So I am super excited about how these turned out. Let's get the rest of the car along and get it just as excited about the rest of the car as I am with the A-arms. Okay, guys, so I am extremely sorry. I have not been filming very much. Recently, I have been going extremely hard on the car. I have a ton of progress going on. Work was a little crazy, so I had to pick up slack at work. but the amount of work that has been going on the Bug within the last week, I would say, has been absolutely insane. The reason I am working on the Bug right now and not Ryan's car is I am getting it to the Bug to Buggerama. There is talks. I have talked to a couple of people about doing a magazine thing. Probably not until the rest of the car is finished, but I at least want to show it. That way they can see the car and possibly get more excited about it. So the car is almost ready for Buggerama. So I only have a couple days left to get it done and get it on a trailer. But the entire rear driver's side is all primed. So a lot of these welds, especially this one here, my welder failed, so I used my one from work. A lot of the welds I have done very fast, and the welder from work doesn't seem to like to weld thicker steel, so it takes a minute for it to burn in. So a lot of my welds are really gross and globby, but a lot of them are really good. So this is just the initial take the car out, show everybody what the actual build is. When I get it back from the show, I'm going to tear the car completely apart, fix all the welds that I need to fix, clean them up, and then start working on the body, blow everything on the chassis apart, get the chassis section painted, and all that stuff. So I have been welding tabs and gussets and all kinds of stuff on this car. So the rear driver's side's painted. I still need to tack in the floor. The front is mostly painted. And then you get into the pretty stuff. So radiator stuff is all situated. I know that I haven't showed that. All finished up. So these brackets up here will bolt into there, hold the radiator down. So all that worked out really good. But front suspension is 100% done. So you can see all coilovers, the mounts, the brake lines, the steering arm, all of the control arms are painted, the brakes are painted, the calipers are painted. So all of the suspension parts are candy ruby red. They turned out absolutely amazing. So front strut bar, see if I can get in there. It all turned out really, really nice. I'm probably going to wet sand it and then clear coat a lot of it again. So front suspension is 100% done. Tires are bolted on, torqued down, all the suspension's tight, torqued down, good to go. Steering geometry is 100% better. What I ended up doing with that is I ended up getting extensions for here. So this is an extension bolt, and then the rest of the bolt goes into the steering rack, which brings this arm out further. And actually I can adjust it further too, but the actual steering rod itself is bottomed out, so I can end up cutting these later, extending this out, and that'll help with bump steer as well. So this is not a temporary solution, but a solution to help the problem that I was having. All the upper A-arm stuff is way better. Everything moves nice and free now. I got the steering shaft all painted up. The brake system is basically done. I have one more, or 2 or 3 more fittings to make, but the brake system is basically done. I haven't bolted on a couple of the lines, but it comes out of the master cylinder down into a T down there. One of the sides of the T come up through and then back to the back. The other one goes back through this residual valve, goes into my line lock system, and then from the line lock system it goes out to both of the front brakes, and then that runs underneath the car, underneath into the tunnel. My clutch sensor and the brake light sensor are inside the tunnel now. Just cleaned a whole bunch of stuff up underneath the footwell. So then all the wiring's a mess because I've been painting. It goes up into this residual valve, comes up into a proportioning valve, then comes down back in through the tunnel into the hydraulic e-brake, out of the hydraulic e-brake, back into the tunnel to this is technically my parking brake. So that is a high pressure ball valve. And then from that, it goes to the back, tees off, and goes to both of the rear brakes. So the braking system was very, very complicated, very complex. I wanted to make it clean and nice, and it took a while to get it. It took a couple days of just doing brake lines and stuff like that. So the only things left up front that I have to do is make these straps that go over the fuel cell to hold the fuel cell in place. And I have to cut the floor panel that goes in here that holds the fuel pump and fuel filters and stuff like that. Other than that, everything up front is done. Everything in the rear is almost ready. I can bolt on passenger or driver side, rear suspension, get all that all tightened down and everything. I'm going to paint the passenger side, and we'll go ahead and get all that bolted up and set in there as well. I am actually extremely glad that I went through and checked everything. The lower sections, the lower mounts for the lower A-arm were way off. So the car actually sat a 1/4 inch lower than the driver's side and on the passenger side. So went through, fixed all of that, made sure that every single thing is exactly the same as the other side. So the car will sit nice and level. We are seriously within a day or 2 of actually driving this car. So, don't know if it'll be this video or next video, or if I'm going to put out a video before this, but the amount of work that I have done is, it has actually impressed me. I haven't slept very much in the last 2 weeks, but once this car, after Buggerama, we're going to hop on Ryan's car, and I am going to knock out Ryan's car in probably 2 weeks. I have boxes of parts waiting for his car. I got the engine bay and stuff painted, but I haven't really got to in depth with anything. So I have been working on Ryan's car as well. I've been filming Ryan's stuff. I just don't have enough for a full video yet, but I look forward to Ryan's stuff on his car. Well, we made it to Buggerama. Sorry for the wind noise, guys. The wind's pretty gnarly at the moment. But the starter broke as I was getting this on the trailer. So we're gonna dig into that, see what I can look at, see what I can find, and then unload it, and it'll be in the car show tomorrow. Getting towed back from the car show. Everything went really good. Technically, I'm driving the car. Starter broke, so I'm not able to start it, but towing it back. Tow's really nice smooth. Alright guys, so hope you guys enjoyed. Buggerama was absolutely awesome. It was definitely a hassle getting there, especially with the whole starter issue. So I haven't been able to start the car since. As you could see, it does drive under its own power, but still have some tuning issues to work out. The braking system needs quite a bit of work, and so does the clutch system. So I'm gonna, within the next couple weeks, start sorting that stuff out, getting it all fixed up. I also have a little bit of front control arm issues. The lower ball joint bolt is actually rubbing on the rim. So scored up the brand new rims, but it's not, it just scratched the paint off. So I'll be sanding the inside of the front wheels and respraying it. Very unfortunate, but when you get into building custom car stuff, custom parts, there's nothing on this front suspended. There's actually nothing on the car that is been done before this way that I know of. All this stuff is custom, handmade by me, so we'll end up getting into some of those bugs and stuff like that, getting all that stuff worked out. As soon as I can drive the car a little bit, we will blow the car apart, start working on finishing up a lot of the chassis tabs and stuff like that. Finish off some of the cage. I need to fix some of the welds that don't look the best. And then we'll go ahead and paint everything, get the body all set up, ready to go. So there are some very, very, very good videos coming for the Bug in the future. But the next one, we're gonna hop into Ryan's car, and I am going to completely knock that car out as fast as I can. Want to get everything situated, the motor in, everything painted. I have been working on a video, just don't have quite enough for a full video. This video, sorry guys, is a little long, but it is a very important video. Turned out awesome, so I am beyond ecstatic about winning the award that I did. I know every single person in the entire crowd came over, looked at the Bug. A lot of people took pictures. If you guys did take pictures, feel free to send them to me. My email is down in the description. And until the next video, we'll see you guys on the next one. Peace out, guys.